Okay, today we have Pamella Coffey with us. Welcome. We want to welcome you to the Sisters with Books Book Club, and we're going to discuss her book today. The name of her book is called Having Tea with My Sisters. As you can see in her background, it's called Having Tea with My Sisters. And so we're going to start off with Pamela. We want you to just tell us a little bit about what you do and how this book came about.
Okay. Um, I'll start with how the book came about. I have written my entire life. I had my first poem published, I think, when I was in sixth grade. One of my teachers published it for me and won an award. I learned at a very young age um, that writing was a release for me. It is a release for me. I had a very traumatic childhood. Um, and so writing was one of the coping skills I developed. So I've written all my life. Um, as you may have read in the book, I have poems in the book. Um, and so the book came about as a healing for me. I had just ended I think, 7-year relationship and started writing one night. Continued to write. Um, and at first, initially, I was very hurt and very angry. So my writing, I think, reflected that anger, that hurt. I was brokenhearted. Then I thought about it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want to write down only the bad aspects of my relationship. I want to also, it was a great relationship at one point. Um, so I thought about, I have other things that I have written years ago. I compiled all of that together and it kind of just uh, evolved into a book.
Well, I'm glad you wrote this book. I was happy to read it. When did you write? When did the book get published? I wanted to know that as
2013, I think.
well. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
some of the writings in the book are way before 2013. As I said, I just compiled some of my writings in addition to some of my more recent experiences at that time and combined them all together.
The reason for me asking when did the book get published is because it's been about 12 years. Let's say that, right? About 12 years.
Yeah.
And and look, you're finally on here. We got you on here to talk about your book. It's been so long, you know. And when
Yeah.
I even thought about you, I'm like, I think Pamela wrote a book. Let me try to figure out how to read this book at, and let's get her on here. I've been
Thank
knowing
you. Thank
Pamela
you.
for many years. We worked together years ago. But again, welcome. So glad to have you on with
Thank
us.
you.
Let's
Thank
go
you
ahead
for
and get
having
started. Let's go ahead and get started with the discussion. So, in the introduction, you stated that this book is explorative and asking and possibly understanding why we take certain action when dealing with certain life situations, primarily relationships. So, yes, this book is tied to relationships, family issues, trauma. It has different layers in this book, and I'm so glad that you touched on all of those. Um, and you were very transparent as well in this book. I was very surprised, but happy as well. Um, with chapter one, you stated the title for chapter one is Good Love. And you talked about how a man can make you feel good sexually, but women, we want more, right? Women want to feel safe and protected. My question to you, Pamela, is do you think men are aware of this, or do they just provide it in the beginning of a relationship?
Um, I think it depends on the man. Um, I've been in relationships where the man I was with was oblivious. You know what I'm saying? Uh, he didn't know his position in the relationship, which did not allow me to operate in my position. You know what I mean? So if you're not acting like a king in the relationship, if you don't recognize um, the position or the role that you have in the relationship, then it can throw the woman off. You know what I mean? Like some women, especially a Black woman, we are very independent, very strong. Um, just as I said in the book, because God made us up that way. We have different challenges in life, and so we develop uh, a strong, powerful, oftentimes um, demeanor, which can be mistaken. But if you're in a relationship with a man and he doesn't know his role, then sometimes as a woman, you take on the leadership in the role. I don't want to be with a man that I'm leading. You know, I want to be able to rely on my partner. I want to be able to, just as I support my partner, I would love for my partner to support me as well.
Okay. Um, and you also stated that women feel that if sex is on point, the relationship is on point. But is sex really enough to keep a relationship going strong? Is the question that you asked. So,
Oh, you went mute.
I'm so sorry. Let me ask the question again. You stated that some women feel that if sex is on point, the relationship is on point. But is sex really enough to keep a relationship going strong? And I wanted either Michelle or Rachel to either answer that question if they are available. I know they're on here, but they are on mute. So if you two are available to answer that, that would be great. If not, I'll just have Pamela answer the question. Okay, they must just be listening. So, Pamela, can you answer that? Do you think that sex is really enough to keep a relationship strong?
No, not in a committed relationship where you're looking for some longevity, um, a life partner, if that's what you're looking for. Now, don't get me wrong, good sex uh, is great. That's the icing on top. But you want also in a relationship um, something that is is stable, something that is committed. Well, if you're that type of woman. I'm at the point in my life where I want a committed relationship. I don't want just good sex. Um, don't want bad sex either, quite frankly. But I want a lot more than sex. Financial stability, support emotionally um, and financially. Um, I want to be able to, just as I said to my partner, to be able to rely on me as a support. I want to definitely be able to rely on him also. Support.
Okay, during the pandemic, so many relationships were ending. We know there's a lot that's going on and make it that makes a relationship successful. Sex is just one part. Um, you stated in your book you believe a sizable portion of maintaining a relationship has much to do with compromise and give and take. I want you to explain why your ex was annoyed. You mentioned something about him being annoyed around that time.
Um, because as I said, as I'll speak for myself as a Black woman, single parent, raised two children by myself. I went to school and worked, sometimes two jobs. Um, you develop a coping skill. And sometimes a man can look at your technique in coping with life um, as aggressive, um, as um, strong-willed. Um, some men, and the man that I'm speaking of in that relationship was a great personality, alpha male, But I think I kind of picked up in our relationship at some point, he did not want to be challenged. Um, and sometimes that is what a relationship is all about also. It's the give and take. I compromised a lot in the relationship. He compromised a lot. But at some point, I just realized that my tenacity um, to survive, to keep a roof over me and my children's head, to keep food on the table, clothes on our back. Um, Sometimes it was a bit putting off to him.
Yeah, I'm just noticing like a lot of times when women are independent, you know, um, got their own thing going and, it seemed like men feel a little taken back by that. Like they don't know what to do, they want you to almost, I guess, need them for every little thing. But since, like you stated, you've been independent for so many years, you know what I mean? So when you've been independent, you're looking for something else from a man, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
You're not looking for anyone to take care of you. You're looking for the thing that, and I think that they probably feel that way because they're not used to women being independent. Um, there are different types of women out here. You have some that's, hey, I need gas money. I need my bills paid. I need my light bill paid. I need my phone bill paid. I need my rent paid. You know what I'm saying? I need some groceries at my house. I need my clothes on my back. I need my kids' tuition paid. I mean, just a lot of different things that they are asking for or needing from a relationship. And when you've been doing that yourself for so long, that's you wouldn't mind it if he wants to help, but that's not what you need per se a man for. So I just been noticing that, with different relationships. I've been seeing, on social media that it's like, oh, the woman makes more money, and it works for a while, but then after a while, it's like it comes out like, it just don't work. It just doesn't. It's like they don't feel good unless they're making more, or providing more. Maybe they feel less of a man. I don't know. I don't know, but I just wanted to add that. Um, let's talk about your childhood. You stated you lost your mom at the age of 8 years old. Please share with the people what happened and how have you dealt with the grief throughout your life?
my mom was kidnapped. Um, just so happened the Friday before she was kidnapped, she put her vehicle in the shop, and so she was on public transportation this particular day, and she was picked up um, by someone she knew by rifle point, per the witness account, um, on the bus stop. He drove her to his home, um, and at some point, she was seen running out of his back door um, in a half slip and a bra in the winter of Chicago. And so, as she ran out of his back door, he raised his rifle and he shot her in the back. And one of his neighbors' child saw the incident, um, but the neighbor was afraid to become involved. And so my mom laid out there for about 6 hours before the neighbor finally called me. Um, and by this time, because this man was an employee uh, for my grandmother, and so after he shot my mom, he went to work. Oh, I didn't think I would get emotional. And so that's where the police arrested him at my grandmother's place of business. Um, and so even though it was so many years ago, it is a terrible thing to grow up without your mom, um, and especially um, to have her leave so tragically. And pardon me, oh my gosh, I didn't think I would get emotional because you hear the years, and you would think that it's still very hard.
Sorry
And
for the loss. Take a moment. It's okay. Um, that's how grief is. It's sometimes you think you're okay, and then other days you're just not so strong. But we support you in this moment.
thank you. Um, Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Um,
You're welcome.
and so my dad raised us as a widower um, after my mom, after her tragic death. Um, and so one thing that I realized, and I really didn't realize it until my kids became adults, is a lot of those skills that I would have naturally developed from either watching my mom or her teaching me. Um, I kind of grew up without those skills. Um, I think I innately have some nurturing and some uh, loving and caring skills, but I think I am definitely remiss to have not had my mom here. She was a beautiful woman inside and out. So yeah, so I still miss her. She is my beautiful flower, is what I call her.
How have you been able to cope with the grief throughout your life?
As a child, it was really hard. Um, for one, her murder was widely televised. And so we had to transfer to a different grammar school after her passing um, because, you know, children would talk about it. Um, Even teachers would talk about it, although they had been instructed not to. So that was hard. And I mean, just life period. Um, I grew up hating Mother's Day. I don't know if you guys have ever, I didn't know anything about this until after my mom died, but every Mother's Day we went to church and um, we were given, I think we were given the white carnation because our mom was no longer here. Everybody else had red carnations. And so, oh gosh, it's just, as I said, a terrible thing to grow up without your mother. It really and truly is. I had my grandmother, my mom's mom, my father's mom had passed a short time after that. And I had a great father, but it's nothing like a mother's love. Nothing like it. Especially if you have a mom that's committed to her children, and our mother was.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, I've been knowing you for so long and I didn't even know your mom had passed. So when I read the book, I was like, oh wow, it was just really touching. And Michelle and I, we both just recently lost our parents, at least our mother. And so that's why I just want you to talk a little bit about that and share that that part with the people that did not know. And then we'll talk about your dad later on because I don't want to leave him out. All right. So, did you want to get some tissue or anything before we go to the?
Yes, if I can.
Okay, go ahead.
Child, so surprised at myself. Oh,
You're
God.
like, Lord, I didn't know I was gonna come on here and start teeing up Jesus. In the hell is going on?
Oh, I miss you, mommy. Oh, gosh. Okay.
Okay. Society implies that we are not complete individuals if we are without a life partner or a companion by a certain age in your book, like you said, aka the American dream. Is that why people are content with being with just anybody rather than being single? Because I was telling somebody too, like I hear people saying, like, just we've had this discussion before, but people always like, man, you always gotta be with somebody, you're looking weird if you're single, something wrong with you, and that's where it comes from. Society is the
Yeah.
one that puts that out there and puts that out there in your brain, okay, and instills that into your brain, letting you know you gotta be with somebody. How old are you now? Okay, you still ain't found nobody. So I just wanted to know, is that why people are content with just like, I don't care who I get with. He ain't got to have no job. He ain't got to do this. Just I just need to be with somebody because if not, I don't want to be looked at as weird. So I just want to know, is that why people just get with anybody rather than being single?
I'd like to first say that um, if you're secure um, at a given point in your life with who you are, you being single is not at all a factor. Although who would not like a companion? I have seen relationships where people are tied because of finances. Um, People are tied because of their children and not happy. And this is no judgment on anyone. You do you. Um, but to me, if you're in a relationship and you say, for instance, oh my gosh, two of my very close friends stayed in a relationship because of their children. Um, and the experiences that their children had within those relationships, uh, oh gosh, how do I temper what I'm saying? They were sometimes exposed to a toxic relationship. And so you think, would I rather be out of this relationship and I'm in my happy home, the other party is in their happy home, and we're still able to co-parent? Or do you want to raise your children in an environment where they see and they experience the same toxicity that you are experiencing, you and your partner? I say no to that. And I'm just now getting ready to be married. So, as I said, it's no judgment call. But when you think about, I think it's so easy for us to make life decisions that can affect a child. But my way of thinking is a child did not ask to be in this world. You put them first, put everything else in your back pocket, and you navigate through life for what's best for them. And that's just my personal opinion. So yeah, I do think people are in relationships sometimes for the sake of finance. They have finances commingled. Um, they have properties commingled. They have children. But be happy.
And simply just because they don't want to be living alone, you know. Um, at the age of 9, you wrote a poem for your son because his father is not involved in his life. I just want to discuss the absentee fathers and how men are disconnected because I'm sure a lot of mothers can relate. Why is it that fathers can easily walk away from their own children?
That I was really surprised by his father's lack of involvement because I had known his father. Um, I think I met him when I was 14. I was best friends with his sister. And so, not to expose too much about their family dynamic, he had always said that um, he would always be involved, and this was well before we started dating. He would express how he would not abandon his children. He would be involved in his children's lives. Um, and I remember respecting that about him. But he was not involved in my son's life. In latter years, when we got together, the relationship was dissolved. Um, that was his choice. Uh, although we were not together, I welcomed his involvement because I realized that I'm a woman. I cannot be mother and father. There were things that my son missed out from his father not being involved in his life, and I see it so clearly even now today. Um, and so his father's choice was selfish, in my opinion, and it negatively affected my son. And still, my son is getting ready to be 36 in a couple of months, and I can see um, where his father's lack of involvement has greatly affected him. And it's something his father is working towards now, um, but he wasn't there during his formative years.
Okay, so let's talk about your dad. You said your father was your mountain. He suddenly became ill on his way to work. Can you talk
Right.
about that?
Yeah, so my father was a very strong personality. He was an engineer um, at one of the major universities. He worked during the day and went to night school to become degreed as an engineer. He was also the president of one of the largest local unions at the university. And as I said, he raised us after my mom was murdered um, by himself. Uh, so he was a very strong, um, I say he was my yardstick. Um, and I'm so thankful and blessed. He was a hard man, um, but I'm so thankful for my dad. I think, or I realized as I grew into my adulthood that the standards that I had set had actually, for myself, had actually been because I witnessed a nurturing, caring, involved father in my life. Um, and so just by his presence a lot of times, um, I learned what to and what not to allow in my life. And so I could see, especially in high school, some of my friends that may not have had a dad at home. Uh, and oftentimes their attitude about themselves was not on the level that it should have been. Sometimes they were seeking uh, an authoritative figure from a boy, because at that time there were nothing but boys in high school, and sometimes an older man. So I'm so very thankful that my father was a very hard disciplinarian. He was also uh, very overprotective because of the way my mom was murdered. Um, he was very protective of the girl. So he sheltered us a bit too much, uh, but I would not have traded him for the world. Um, I thank God that he was a man of integrity. He taught me to operate in integrity. Uh, he taught me to be strong when there were times I wanted to be weak. Um, and so I feel blessed to have had him as a father. And I'm so thankful. And even though my mom left here so soon, I'm so thankful to have had her. And her memory still lives very strong in my life.
Do you find yourself at times comparing the men that you have dated to your father?
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I don't have time for nonsense. Mm-mm. No, never have. Um, not in any relationship have I. My way of thinking is I don't want a weak man. I don't want a man who is um, uh, dependent on me. Um, I don't want a man who lacks integrity. Um, I think, um, and not that all of my choices have been great choices, um, but I think, thank God that at some point when they were not great choices, I was able to navigate and remove myself from the relationship. It's easy. I think it was very easy for me to do that. Because if you see a man, if you grow up and in this case, my father was such a man of integrity, such a man of integrity. It's kind of hard to be in a relationship and you see somebody who's either lying all the time, ain't committed, flip flopping from the south side to the west side. Um, I'd rather be by myself, and oftentimes I was.
Yeah, because I noticed in your book you talked about having standards, and it's never too late.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, that then definitely helps you out in a relationship when you come in the door with your own standards,
yeah,
like you stated. Because if not, then he's going to make standards for you. So you
yeah,
definitely have to know what you want when before entering the relationship.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you don't know before you enter, because sometimes we find ourselves, um, I think we all at some point have played the fool, but it's for how long you may find yourself in a raggedy relationship and how long you stay in a raggedy relationship. Um, Life happens to all of us. And so, um, if you're in a relationship and you see it's just, oh, yeah, it's for how long you choose to stay in it. And some of them, it's not easy to immediately get out of the situation. But I really believe, truly believe, when you love yourself, um, and I think that's what a lot of young women um, are missing today, um, because they don't. Not only do they not love themselves, they don't even know themselves. And I'm not saying that in a manner where I'm on a high horse and I'm judging. Um, I'm saying it because I've been there. I've been broken. I had such a traumatic childhood. I mean, oh my gosh. I had to take some of the things out of the book because it was just too overwhelming. Nothing that my father knew about. My mom didn't find out about some of it, literally until a couple of weeks before she died. Um, and so I was broken. I was angry. I was angry because my mom was no longer here. I was angry because I had been abused in various types of ways. Just an angry little skinny black girl on the side of Chicago. So at some point, I did not know how to love myself, even with my father's strong example. I didn't come out that way. I just realized that I wanted better for my life. I realized that I wanted to be happy. I realized though I had such a traumatic childhood, there was still something better for me. And so I wanted to seek that. I got tired of being depressed, got tired of, at some point, not wanting to live. I knew that was not a life that any individual should live. So I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I waking up every morning depressed? I started doing affirmation, I want to say maybe 20 years ago, every single solitary morning where I affirmed myself. Um, because I had to pull myself out of, it's nothing really but the grace of God, but I had to pull myself out of that dark hole that I lived in. Um, and so happy I did. I still do affirmations every day on today, this day.
Well, like they say, you don't look like what you've been through. Because if you, I swear, I would have never thought all this stuff happened to you. You've always been such a bright, bubbly person, very professional at all times and just a really cool person. Um, um, I want to say, did you have like a mentor growing up? I know you didn't have your mom. Did you have like a godmother? I'm sure you had an auntie, but did you have like anybody to like instill any type of guidance, into like making things better for you? Like you stated, the affirmations. Did someone tell you about that, or you just came across it on your own? How did that come about?
Yeah, no, I didn't have a mentor in my life. Um, I
Anybody
did,
you looked up to?
yeah, my older sister, uh, she lives in Florida, have always looked up to her. Very polished. Even when she was in high school, that girl was polished. Um, and still to this day is. So yes, um, my sister Brenda. Uh, yeah, who is so crazy because she's really my mom's baby sister. But before my mom even left here, because she was so close to my twin and I, our age, we have always been sisters. Always said we were sisters. We grew up together. And so, yeah, I will say that she was definitely, was and is an example for, yeah, I love her.
The reason I asked because by you being so young, it's like, you know, somebody I feel like possibly may have been there for you or to guide you and instill the positiveness in you and bring it out of you. And also, you gave back to your family members. You stated in the book, your niece, who's like your daughter, as basically because you took care of her, and other siblings in your family, other nieces and stuff, and nephews. I'm sure they look up to you. So it's pretty much like you just imparted that back into them, and you
Mhm.
spreaded that within your family because I'm sure they definitely look up to you.
Um, I think family is so important to me. Um, I think we grew up seeing primarily my dad and his siblings, such a beautiful, beautiful love for one another. And so seeing that example, my dad's mom, she was a prayer warrior. She prayed all the time. My mom's mom, she was on the other side. But I looked up to my grandmother too. I called her Granny. She started her own business. As I said, the man that murdered my mom worked for her. And so she had always had her own business, did very well. She and my grandfather. They had two separate businesses, had homes all over Chicago, did very well for themselves. So my one grandmother taught me to be tenacious. Um, I would say, and outspoken, and the other one, she taught me to be a prayer warrior. But I think in giving is family. It's almost effortless. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not anything that's hard to do. At least not for me. Um, and so I think it is a privilege to have been in any type of position to give to anyone in my family. And I'm thankful for the family members that have given to me. We have a very close-knit family. Um, and so I'm grateful for each of my siblings. We're very close, very close. We have prayer every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Um, and so, in a lot of ways, I realize I truly will realize I'm blessed because I could be such a different individual with the experiences that I've had in life. Such a different individual. There have been people that have gone through less that were succumb to the negativities of the world. And then there are people that went through a lot more than I went through. Um, I just thank God that I have a sound mind and a loving heart still, despite what I went through. I'm very grateful to that because I could be such a different person.
Yes, that is definitely true. That is so true because people go through a lot and they don't come out all the time. I mean, they still in darkness, you know what I mean? Still going through, still battling, you know. It could definitely went another way.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah. Um, I love the ending of your poem you wrote for your dad and how each of your family members stood up um, and some of the friends at the service at the celebration joined in as well. I suddenly thought about Malcolm X. I don't think this was a Malcolm X movie and how they got up and started saying, I am Malcolm X, I am Malcolm X. It was the ending of the movie, I believe. And I kind of thought about that when you said they all stood up and started repeating after your father's name. So I thought that was really nice. And you, of course, you wrote the poem, so I thought that was really nice. And I'm sure it was impactful to see,
It was and so unexpected. Um, it wasn't anything that was practiced or rehearsed. But I do want to say that I think a lot of it um, just it shows the character of my father because it wasn't because of the poem that I wrote. or it wasn't because I was standing up there. It was because he impacted their lives almost as much as he impacted mine. So they, I mean, they were standing up one after the other. So that was homage to my father, but also it showed. I really immediately just it just confirmed to me the type of man that not only I saw him to be, but that others as well saw him to be. Very strong man, very strong, very loving. Everybody loved Uncle JT. Yeah, he was a powerhouse.
Um, are you planning on writing another book anytime soon or later in future?
Um, but for some reason I have had several people ask me about writing a children's book for me, and that was nothing that I had really thought about. Not that I'm opposed to it. Um, but if I do, then it might possibly be a children's book. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know because I mean, this book was amazing. Okay, it was amazing, and you know, like I say, I don't even remember if I knew when you first wrote it. If it was so long ago, I don't even know if I was really on Facebook like that. I just don't know how I knew you wrote a book. I must have seen it come across Facebook. I don't know. Um, and I've had the book club going on. We just celebrated our 6 year anniversary this year, so next year will be 7 years. So we steady going strong. It's a lot of work, but we baby we in there. We in the race. So I'm just so glad again that I um thought about you and wanted you to come and tell your story so the world hello can hear it and and not for you to just be writing a book and then not thinking about no, I want the world to see you, know who you are. And just to close out today, I don't want to talk about too much stuff. I do want them to purchase your book. Um, and get all the full story. I've already recommended a couple of your book to a couple people already. Um, so in the closing, I just want to say that our life and decisions we make in life is all about choice. That's one of the main things I got about your book. I always say, life is a choice. Your choices that you make is everything. I've always thought about it and always said that, you know, the people that's in jail, they're no different than us. They just made a wrong choice. We are no better, we just we're not different than them. We're really not, because we can all, we all come from the same space and anything can happen to us. We don't know what our lives are going to turn out. We want to go this way, but I feel like we've all wanted to make something of ourselves, right? But because you did one thing and got caught, and now you ended up incarcerated. So I just always say the choices that you make is everything. Did you want to share anything before we end today? Anything about your family? Anything that you want to tell the people? Anything? This is your platform today, honey.
I want to say also that that's so very true what you just said. But I do want to also say that it's by grace, honey, the grace of God, that any of us are kept. Um, but I do want to thank you again, Tanisha, for this opportunity. Um, because with trauma, sometimes you can feel like you're the only person going through a thing, or a certain thing may only be happening to you. Um, and unfortunately, a lot of our youth um, are being abused. Um, and so they may feel all alone. They may feel like no one else knows or no one else cares. But I believe that um, part of my journey and having the experiences that I had as a child um, was to let another young girl know. I was 6, 7, 8 um, when I had some of the experiences that I had. And so I can still remember as a little girl feeling small, alone, powerless. Um, I do want any young person, girl or boy, to know that you are not alone and to know that you have a voice and to use your voice. And your experience does not have to define the person that you become. It doesn't have to put you in a box and have you feel like because you've had certain experiences in your life, you're not worthy of being a king or a queen. You are. Um, and the purpose of me writing the book and being so transparent, um, as I said, even though I took some of the things out of the book because it was just too much, even for me, it was too much. I'm like, Lord, somebody read this book. Whew, they may have to see, go lay on somebody's couch. But it's to let people know, despite there are so many, many, many um, of us that have been abused. And though it's not okay, you can be okay. You don't have to live in that dark, um, violent life where you've been violated. That doesn't have to dictate your journey or your path in life. It really and it truly doesn't. And so I would like to encourage anyone, if you're 30, if you're 50, and you still feel alone, or you feel like the abuse that you suffered as a child at the hands of a predator, it does not have to dictate who you are. It doesn't have to hold you back. It doesn't have to dim your light. For some of us, we may need to see a doctor. Um, in my case, I did not seek a doctor. Um, but for some of us, we may have to seek a doctor. So I'd like to just encourage you to hold on, hang in there. Don't feel like you're defeated. Don't feel like someone has their foot on your neck. Um, push past it in whatever way you feel like you have to, whether it's a doctor, whether it's in talking with someone. I'd like to encourage you to do so. And I'm hopeful that this book will tap into someone that has had trauma in their childhood or in their life period. I really am.
Hold on. I'm stuck. I can't get it off. I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text you.
Oh shoot, my phone is
Girl, girl. I'm like, I can't get off mute. I can't get off mute. Okay, so I want you to tell the people where can they purchase your book and how can they reach you via social media if they want to reach out to you and have them, just never know. Your author. Hello.
my book can be purchased primarily. It was on Barnes and Noble, but it is currently on Amazon You would just go to Amazon and type in Having Tea with My Sister by Pamella Coffey. I think it comes up without you even typing in my full name. And then if you go to Google and you type in Having Tea with My Sister by Pamella Coffey, it brings up a website. And on the website, I have some inserts from the book, some poetry, a lot of poetry, I think, is on the website.
What's the website address?
www.havingteawithmysisters.com.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
they can also Google my name and it'll come up.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate you coming on, taking time out your schedule to tell us about your book and talk about it and discuss it. And that we can wrap it up and that'll be it.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank
New
you so
Year.
much. Happy New Year. Yes, 2026. Thank you so much for having me, Tanisha. I really appreciate it.
You're
And
welcome.
thank the panel as well for being involved or being on the line today.
You're welcome. And again, congratulations on you becoming a wife soon.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.